this here. Here we go. So, thanks everyone for joining to a Saturday morning / afternoon webinar, depending on where you're at. Okay. Myself, Chris, Broom, and Peter are all part of Storm FC. Okay, so we're here to have some good soccer talk and see difference of opinions. You know what I mean? So it can get pretty exciting depending on what topics we talk about, right? So yeah, I'll try my best to moderate the best I can, and we'll go from there. So Lewis and then Neil, you guys can introduce yourselves and go from there. So Lewis, the floor is yours, my man.
Yeah, okay. So, well, really this is just for Neil. I know Broom and Peter from a few years ago. So, yeah, so my name's Lewis. I've been involved in football for probably around about 8 years now, going from grassroots to foundation phase football within a Cat 3 academy. I'm currently just finishing my Masters in Advanced Football Coaching and Performance, and I'm currently coaching a ladies football team in the 2nd Division of Welsh football. So that is kind of myself in a nutshell at the moment.
Good stuff.
Go ahead, Neil.
Yeah, for those who don't know, I'm Neil Wainwright. Did a little bit of work a couple of years ago over in Canada. That's how I know our friend Christos. My background's mainly playing, so I've been in football around about, what is it now? Talking. It's around about must be about 26 years now. So started at 16 as a young professional apprentice at Wrexham, and then moved on. Had 13 or 14 years playing in England, and ended up coaching at Morecambe. So I've been coaching at Morecambe probably now for about 7 or 8 years, mainly under 18s, UEFA A licence and Advanced Youth Award. Yeah, I work with a number of age groups. I'm just about to get the head of coaching role at our football club when all gets back up and running, so to speak. So I'm looking forward to jumping into that role as well and seeing what I can bring to that as well.
That's awesome. Thank you. No, just myself, again, coach education is a very important part. So I know, Lewis, we've talked in the past. So
yes,
I've completed
many hours.
Many hours.
Yeah.
I've completed my National B Part 1, hopefully to get working on my National B Part 2. So that's how they have it in Canada. They split it. And eventually, from what I've heard from Canada Soccer now, they're going to just go national. So it's been kind of up and down. They keep changing it. So keep working at it on that. Currently in the technical director course right now, completing that hopefully in the next couple months. And I just enrolled in, it's an online course. It's the Canada National Youth License. So it's pretty cool. I'm excited to start that up. I think there's a lot of online content. So it's different from Canada Soccer versus Ontario Soccer coach education. Canada Soccer, right off the bat, when I got when I got enrolled, right away they give you your schedule and your pre-tasks. So you already have your pre-tasks, your dates, and what you need to complete by. And they already outlined right in black and white your 3-strike rule. You know what I mean? You miss your first assignment. It's a verbal, written, then you're kicked out of the course. So it's pretty good. I like the challenge for sure, and continue on. I've done different other courses as well for Ontario Soccer, goalkeeper course, and keep going. You know how it is, man. I just try and plug myself in and try and be like a sponge, soak in as much information as I can. Connecting with you, Neil Wainwright was fantastic. You came over when for Athletes Institute. Awesome. I gotta say, hands down, one of the best summer camps I've seen around for sure, and I've seen quite a bit. The engagement, the technical, the tactical ability on it was fantastic. The feedback was great. So in future, it could be at Storm or it could be at anywhere else. I'd love to off the air here. I'd love to sit down and talk and come up with different things. You know what I mean? We can work on that. So we'll panel over right to Chris. Go ahead, Chris. Give yourself a little intro there.
I'm Chris Broom. I work with Christos as an assistant coach with the AIFC U16 girls. I'm the head coach of the 2009 girls at Storm FC. I assist with the 2006 girls with Storm FC. I sit as right now I'm the vice president of the Storm FC Football Club, as well as also pretty much doing double duty as the director of travel, which is a role I held for 2 years prior to that. I just was going back through my book, and I started back. I was a former player with Storm, played locally in the high school program back in the 90s, so it dates me way back there as well. I returned, yeah, you know, getting older. So I returned to Storm back in 2008 was my son's first or second season back at Orangeville Soccer Club. So I started coaching then, and got into the board a couple years later. So I've been working with development programs in the club at the U6 at the grassroots levels for about 6 or 7 years now, doing indoor training, outdoor training, developing programs. I wrote a grant that actually helped to pay for Coach Lewis one of his or 2 of his years over here with the club. Yeah. In case anybody wanted to know, Coach Lewis was moonlighting over here. We actually had him working for a while too when he wasn't crashing cars, so it was good. So, but yeah, so I done a lot of work with Peter as well in the development programs in the soccer club and Christos. And so I think my passion, my experience is definitely at the grassroots level, more so. Although Peter and I coached at the U18 level for a couple of years back in the mid '90s. Which was, yeah, I'll let Peter expand on that more, but it was a good time. We had a good time. So
awesome. And Peter, a good friend, Peter, floor is yours, buddy. Go ahead. Look.
Hey guys, a little bit about our coaching. It's funny to hear all you guys talking about, the stuff you've been doing. It's been I don't know, I've been in this for about 10 years now. I'm not going to go into the 90s. That was just, we were just playing, finishing up. So it was more of we're just lucky to be on the field having some fun, not hammered. So the last 10 years it's been a bit of a roller coaster getting started. I know why we got into it. I just wanted to make it a better club in Orangeville. But I mean, I've gone through the licensing, got my C license. I've had lots of teams. My girls team is almost aged out now. We started at 8 years old. They're U17, 18 this year. I'm coaching with my son's U18 team. He's on his way out this year too. He's going to go to Fleming in the fall and play there. So that's a bonus for us, for the club. Got a kid going to college. I just started our U9 program 2 years ago. We're into our second year of that. We've got 2 teams there. And I left the board this year. Honestly, it's a bit of I think I'm going to probably end up taking a bit of a break from soccer next year, just to reevaluate where we want to go with it. I'm looking more to get into I don't know, not really sure where I want to go with it, but it'll be good to have a chat and just see where soccer's at, get a better perspective on what I'm going to do in the future.
Awesome. Well, guys, first topic, what brings us here together, I guess, is going through those difficult times. We're just talking earlier, Lewis, is COVID. So good point that, Lewis, you were saying was basically with COVID is having the opportunity to sit down in the time to talk to people, you know what I mean? So getting the time to talk to you, Neil, running a webinar as well. So it's fantastic. So my thoughts on it, yeah, it sucks staying inside and trying to always stay engaged and do the best you can. But you got to try and do player engagement, try and get these players going the best you can. You know what I mean? You run a session online. You may get 1 player, you may get 10 players, you get maybe 15, but you got to keep doing it. That's what I believe in. Yeah, you can't just stop and be like, you're going to get critiqued all the time, no matter what you do. The better you do, the more critique you're going to get, right? So the way I look at it is just keep doing what you're doing. You know what I mean? Learn from the best, learn from the people that know better, and adapt. So I think that having this soccer talk, I think I'm going to have a couple more. I think it's a good eye-opener for people as well. Like when I post it, other people from families, just to see it, passion, because I think that's what's lacking in soccer here in Canada, in some areas, not in all areas in Canada, because there's some more with the population density, they have a lot more interest. But just passion, you know what I mean? Like out in England there, passion's crazy. You know what I mean? Soccer is running through your blood. Here in Canada, it's like, okay, we're going to play hockey, we're going to do this. Oh, soccer. There you go, soccer. So try and give that passion, you know what I mean? And, well, try and build as much as we can for parents to see it as well. So that's my take on it. Anyone, like I said, all mics are unmuted, so the floor is open. You guys can just talk anytime. So
how have you found your uptake on your Zoom calls, Christos? Have most of the girls joined in, most of the boys joined in what you've been doing, or have you? For Athletes Institute, the girls have been doing fantastic. They do 4 to 5 times a week strength and conditioning, and I've incorporated ball mastery twice a week, so the attendance is pretty good, which is good to see. So continually they're doing it, and they also have outside of the Zoom sessions, they'll have their runs daily that they do. So 2K, 3K, 4K, depending on what the goal is. As for Storm, we started last week with the grassroots level. I think it's gone well. You know what I mean? The attendance is going good, and it's something new. It's the new norm. I've been calling it. You know what I mean?
Christos, we were out walking the dog and ran into a kid that joined your session this morning, and he said he loved it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Asked him how he did. He goes, "Oh, I was sweating. It was good." So there's some feedback right there.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you. And that's all we can do at this point. You know what I mean? Is really connect with the athlete, connect to the younger players, grassroots, and go forward. Right? Parents, by all means, if they want to hear it, if they want to talk, they can. But your focus is get these players going. Because I was watching, like, even in the beginning of all this, my son and my daughter, like, you'd play your games and then you would get tired, right? Whereas now, where they're engaged, they're doing their training, they're making the runs. It becomes a routine again. So I think the adaptability to this is finding a routine through this difficult time and working through it. So that's what I think. That's what I see as that. So,
it's
anyone else?
It's crucial to have that focal point of your day, whether it's soccer or anything else. So to have structured calls and structured ball mastery. I'm doing this today. I'm doing that next day. I'm doing that the day after. It gives the kids that structure that they're probably craving at this time. We're all probably craving at this time, because I know certainly the week we've had, sleep patterns have been all over the place. So you end up doing completely different things than what you'd be doing if you were doing your working week. So structure is massive, and I think that will help them when they return to their soccer training when we're all back to normality, so to speak.
I think you're going to find that a lot of the kids either want to do it or they don't. I mean, you guys are at different levels. I mean, clearly we're looking at 3 academy coaches and systems and 1 just general grassroots house league type system in Orangeville. And you get a huge difference when kids pay or get paid to do something versus kids that are just there because their kids, the parents putting them in something to do for the summertime. It's just it's real hard to get kids that are going to stay in a sport to engage in it 3-4 times a week when we're in this type of a situation.
Yeah, it's true. It's a very good point on that, right? So, you know what? It's just I think that you just got to keep doing your best you can, and try and make it user friendly, player friendly in terms of their workouts. So it's not that I'm going to run a session for an academy, and then when I go to my grassroots, I'm going to be like, no, I'm going to demand this kind of session, right? So got to know your audience and make it relative to them, right? So make it exciting, 100% on that. So, Lewis, with your girls, I know they're a lot older.
Yes.
Ladies.
Yeah.
Have you guys been doing the new norm now? I guess with Zoom training and all this.
The honest answer is no. We don't really focus on the training aspect. We sort of expect them, because they're at the older age, between 18 and 32. We kind of expect them to do this sort of their own training. What we have done recently in the last maybe month or 2 is we've set up some sort of like a running competition. So A few would start off in 1K, then another group would do 2K, and then another group would do 3K. And at the moment, the manager and a few of the players are on 17K at the moment. So
Wow.
they're doing that, you know. So it's a great bit of competitive sort of activity. But we do get together once a week. We do a quiz, so that social aspect is still there. We're still engaging with each other. We're still getting that sort of that physical output. But at that sort of age, we're not really focused on the sort of technicals or tacticals.
Of course,
the sort of level we're at, it's not really that sort of what word am I looking for? It's not what we expect. So obviously when I was at Newport and I was doing the foundation phase, I know at the moment they're doing a lot of what you're doing, Chris, in regards to online Zoom calls and little challenges, and can you do these keep up your challenges just to keep them engaged. But so I suppose that's sort of the difference between the foundation phase and maybe amateur / semi-pro senior level. So there's quite a difference. So that's what we're doing at the moment.
It's difficult from an academy perspective from us, because obviously it's our sort of full-time profession, and we've been put on furlough over in England, most of us. So the contact we can have with the players is very much diminished. So we're not really supposed to have any contact with the players, really. So that's the difficult thing from our point of view. So my under-18s team, up until I was furloughed, I was giving them challenges every day. I think it's really important they have that competitive side. And you find that the ones that are more successful in the end are the ones that do the most as well. So that's really good. Yeah. So you're looking for the self-motivation levels from the players. Yeah, I'd like to do more with them, but as I say, our hands are tied a little bit. In that
is there scope for you guys to do some sort of online Zoom analysis sessions or anything like that?
What it is, I'm not really should be seen to do any work in essence. So the academy manager still working full time, so he's getting us together now and again to go through certain things that we can do with them. So we've had a Zoom call now and again with the players where I can just drop in as if it's maybe a social call type thing.
Yeah.
But no, it is hard. But again, you find out your players at our level, academy level, where they're going to try to go into professional.
PvP, yeah.
Players who really want it, and some of them the ones who expect it to be.
It's who wants that professional contract at the end of the day, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Only a small percentage will get it. Like in Newport, I think it was the 2018-19 season. I think only 3 of the players got professional contracts. So
we're looking at possibly only 1 this year. So that's how difficult it can be. There's 2 others in the frame, but it's probably looking like 1 at the minute, especially with what's gone on as well, and budget cuts and stuff.
Yeah.
So, question for you, Neil, is a couple questions actually. First question here: playing at that level for the U18s. When I believe they get contracted, do they have is there they get a salary or some kind of bonus or anything like that? Is it how do they start off? That's what I'm looking at.
Yeah, they're on they have their salary for 2 years. So the first years are on a basic salary, and the second years get a little bit more. So I think they're on around something like £100 a week, sort of around that sort of range. And again, it's majority. I think we have 95% of our players outside the area as well. So they live in with house parents in digs Monday to Friday as well. So it's a big sacrifice for them for those 2 years in their quest to become a professional footballer. But it's again, it all boils down to, we talked about this before, Christos Angelou, and who wants it, and you certainly see that on a regular basis, even in these times now. So yeah, it's they get paid and they go to college as well. So
that was going to be my question.
they go to college. They go to college now on a Monday afternoon, full day Wednesday, and Thursday and Friday afternoon.
Is that a BTEC in sports, or is that some sort of different?
They do they were doing an MVQ with me as well. The vocation and obviously the football basement, but now that's going to change because they're doing endpoint assessment now in England, so that's coming in for the coming season. So they get assessed by someone external.
Yeah.
all their football expertise. So even if they don't become a professional footballer, they've still got to pass to a certain levels of technical, tactical, psychosocial, and physical as well. So
Yeah, it sort of boils down to that sort of your philosophy. It's not just about creating players for your professional team. It's about creating players to go into life with life skills to develop in whatever vocation they do.
Absolutely, yeah. We get quite a few players who end up going to America to do the scholarships. We do. Yeah. We get a lot of players who end up playing locally non-league as well, which is grounding for them as well. We play our youth teams at Kendall Town, which is a non-league ground, and we think that's a good little grounding for them straight away to play youth team games there, to get a good feel of what potentially some of them might be playing in as well. So it's all that, as you say, it's all that whole experience of what they might go into next if they don't follow on with us.
Yeah.
See, over here, like I said, it's good that you have that, like the experience is there and possible professional route. You know what I mean? Over here, what we've been trying to promote, say at an academy level here, is basically as best as we can is a college level. So college ball, NCAA, that's what they've been doing. Different views on that, of course. It's good to, I believe, in my opinion, I think it's good to get a scholarship if you can. Locally would be good in Canada. You know what I mean? You're close to parents and family. If you can go to Division I in the States, by all means do so. But I think the level of difficulty to get there is high, just because of the number game, right? Players in the States versus being that exceptional number one player in Canada to play in the States. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's a big difference there. I've seen many webinars with other various coaches as well. They talk about NCAA and their expectations. I think it could be a little bit different in terms of what the player will get when they do get it, right? Like very strict, and if they're made out to or cut out to do it, right? So again, going back to what we talked about, Neil, was if you're cut out for it, right? So I think we're working towards over here in Canada to build that kind of drive. Whereas in Europe, even speaking from my background in Greece, it's already there, right? I have a cousin of mine that's playing Division II in Greece right now, and it's high caliber, right? It's bring that to here, it's a whole different level of soccer, right? So we've had players here. I don't know, Peter, if you wanted to talk about your son. I've seen your son play since he was young, and by all means, with Neil and everybody here, fantastic player, really exceptional. The ball mastery and the technique that he has is awesome. So I just wanted to send out a kudos. I'm one of his biggest fans, by all means. I remember when I strolled into Orangeville years, I don't know, 8 years ago, and I saw him playing when he was a youth, and I was just like, holy smokes, man, like, wow. The skills on that was fantastic. It was just natural talent, you know what I mean? And wow. So I don't know, Peter, if you wanted to add on to that.
First, thanks for the kudos and the props. He's pretty happy about it. I know we are. He definitely. I started out coaching him, and the lessons I've learned just being a dad and being a coach, just watching him, and the steps I had to go through. Both forward and back, have been helpful for him and for me, and it's made me a better coach. And it's made him a better player. He's had to learn that I know sometimes what I'm talking about, not all the time, but sometimes. And I've had to learn that, you know what, he doesn't need me telling him what to do all the time. So he's learned that soccer is a passion for him, and this is what I was kind of driving at with my comment about, you know, what's in it for the player. You know, if you're getting paid or if you're not getting paid or if you're paying a lot of money, you're going to do these things maybe more readily on your own. Well, he's done that. That's the one thing he's done. He's worked on his footwork on his own, and he takes great pride in learning that. I will say the one thing that changed his path, I mean, he's always been a decent soccer player. What made him a really good soccer player was he had to go out of Orangeville to experience higher level players that he was middle of the pack of their teams. And that made him realize how much more he had to do. He couldn't just walk on the field and be the best player. So I say that to all players in Orangeville. If you think you've got the skill to go to the next level, you can't stay here. There's not enough talent in this town to push you to that next level. So he had to learn. I mean, you can come back and still get, like you were talking about, Division I scholarship. You can still go that route after you leave, but you have to go and find players that are better than you to get better. So yeah, he's done really well. We're pretty happy, but I'm just hoping they actually have a season next year. The COVID-19 is not just affecting minor soccer; it's college level and everything. They don't know if they're going to even start. So hopefully for him, he does. It's a big step.
Where's he at now? Where's he playing now?
He's playing in Orangeville this summer if we actually play, but he's going to go to Fleming, playing Peterborough. So he's pretty happy about it.
Oh, it was awesome when he actually. I was at the Dome there in Orangeville, and he showed me the book there, and the excitement. You know what? Honestly, Peter, the passion. I love seeing that. Doesn't matter what player it is. You know, I mean, they come in, they talk soccer. Amazing. Look at this. Oh, look what I got to do. Look at the strength and conditioning. Look at my nutrition. All that. I love it. It's good to see, and I'm very. Words can't express, Peter, how happy I am for your son, because he deserves it, man. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, we all get our ups and downs, but he's quality. Another player we have out of Orangeville that's doing fantastic right now too is Andrew Palucci. You know what I mean? This kid, man, same thing. Fantastic. Good touch on the ball.
I remember Andrew. Yeah, I remember Andrew.
Yeah, we're at the camp there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's you should see him now, Neil. Wow, the strength, the ball position, the vision. Wow, he's a leader. He's a leader on the team, right? So it's really to consider. So
He's a fantastic boy as well, by the way. Lovely kid.
Is that Carmen's boy?
Yeah, it's Carmen's boy. Yeah, great family, great stuff. He's currently playing, like I said, with the Athletes Institute men's team right now. So you know what? And we always try and keep pushing. Try to keep pushing him. You know, I mean, I couldn't be more proud of him, right? So it's we've had Andrew Palucci, we've had Braden, we've had some other players too. We've had a girl, my daughter's age, Natalie Moynihan, which is out of Orangeville. She's actually pushing, going through the provincial process right now. Aside from all this COVID stuff, you know what I mean? You know, I've had the honor of coaching as well, Natalie, when I was back before. So it's been good to see. It's good to see that players from a small town of Orangeville can actually get to the next level, right? So keep pushing for that. Chris, any thoughts on that?
And I think it's trying to figure out, one of the things that I always try to work on, especially when the director role for travel is can you create linkages, right? And everybody, especially, I'm not sure where it's like in the UK, but in Ontario and Canada, everybody's worried about keeping their own piece of the pie, right? So you've got this strong little district team and you want it to stay strong forever and win all your championships when you get up into the youth level. But really is that what's the best for each player? And it's trying to understand how and when it is for each player to be identified and say, hey, here's your next pathway. And is it going to be going to the Ontario Provincial or Player Development League? Is it going to an academy? Is it going to, like, how do you recognize them for Told, which is where Andrew Palucci got recognized for the talent on location, went to a series of tryouts and ended up making the Team Ontario. Is that a path? And that's one of the pathways that Natalie Moynihan's in right now too, right? So where do we send them out at youth level? Do they have to go at grassroots? Where, like, it's a struggle is the line. There's not a clear line. We're trying the Ontario Soccer is trying to create a pathway. They have a identified pathway, but there's such a push-pull between academy leagues, which have almost disappeared now. Everything's kind of filtering.
Close the door, please.
Yeah, everything's kind of filtering into one development stream, but it's trying to identify when's the right time for the player to leave Orangeville, so they can go and get that. I just had this conversation with Christos yesterday with some of the girls off my 09s, which are under 11. Is is there a spot where they leave and hit the peel to get into the region next year, going down into Brampton, Mississauga? Is there a time where we need to start getting them out of Orangeville and for their best interest, right? And I think part of our struggle as a club is, do you still have teams at those levels if you send too many of the good ones away? Now, we don't typically have a lot of good ones at each level, so maybe that's not as much of a struggle, but where is it, and what's the link? Where's the right spot to identify and send them? Like, hey, this is the next step up from our club. We recommend you go on this pathway. So there's not a clear-cut line yet in Ontario, at least, of where that looks, and that's the struggle for we experience as a club, and I'm experiencing right now as the daughter of a kid who's got some skill, and another one on the team that has that too. Is, do they play in Orangeville this season and move on next year? Do they stay another year and then go looking for the next venture for U13? So what's the right time for them?
I just think speaking from an Orangeville Storm FC standpoint, you got to have coaches that are engaged and they look for the best interest of the player and are receptive. Have to work together. You know what I mean? Work with each other's ideas. You know what I mean? You cannot just sit there and be like, my way is the best way. It's not. You know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? So that's what you gotta work. Everyone's got to work together. You can't just basically do your own thing. It's not your own show, right? And I find that in Orangeville, like we're hopefully starting to get around to that, get to coaches that can see the big picture there, right? So I've worked with Chris for many years. I've worked with Peter, and fantastic work. You know what I mean? We've came through and worked on the grassroots and worked hard. You know what I mean? So it's been Lewis, you came out to do the camps in Orangeville. Fantastic. You know what I mean? It's good to have that connection. You know what I mean? Neil, having the camp come out and seeing more stuff like that. And now we're on a webinar, all of us talking together. So I believe that strengths in numbers and support get you the ending result. If you think you're a lone wolf and you can do it all by yourself, you're just going to crash and burn. You know what I mean? Also, with my travels and not my travels, but my coaching pathway, my wife has been one of the biggest help support for me. You know what I mean? So managing teams, having the connection in terms of with parents and players, having her on the girls team as well with Chris, and being a female on the team to get that connection with players. You know what I mean? So Barbara's been a huge part as well in terms of success. So I can't just look back at it and go, oh, I just did it all by myself. You know what I mean? It wasn't, I just did it myself. No one else helped. No, everyone's helped me. Chris has helped me in so many ways. Peter as well. Having the countless amount of times talking in different locations about soccer, different views on formations. I love it. You know what I mean? Now having this conversation with all you guys and your insight on that, I think we could just grow on that. I'm a very strong believer on that. So the people that you know and getting connected, I think, is a massive thing. So yeah, we just got to keep doing that. I think in Orangeville we can do it. I think we can grow, but I just think you have to crack the shell in some of the people's perspective on things. You gotta really crack at it. You got to keep working at it, and eventually you're not going to get everyone to see what you see, unfortunately, right, as a group, but all you can do in the end is just try, right? So that's what I think.
I was just, sorry, go on, Neil.
Sorry, Lewis. It's just about having your own ideas, but taking on board other people's experience and everything can just add. It's like it's like a dust ball in the attic. It just gets bigger and bigger and bigger just with knowledge, because you're taking bits from different people. And I echo what you said there, Chris. I think even in England, very, very similar in terms of sort of the grassroots stuff. There's managers at grassroots level and coaches who are really focused on the individual players' experience, but then there's others who they're all about the team and they don't want them to go elsewhere and succeed. They'd rather just keep them to themselves. And I think that's a fighting battle, certainly for us as academies, when we're trying to sign the best players and trying to improve those players to that end level that we're trying to get them to. Some grassroots coaches are quite stubborn, but if you've got coaches like yourselves who are want the team to succeed, but also want each individual to succeed, then soccer's a better place throughout any country and any level, really. Sorry, Lewis.
No, it's okay. I was going to talk about sort of similar things of what I experienced. And I'm not sure if you guys experienced over there, Chris and Christos and Peter, and maybe even you, Neil, in regards to foundation phase football. But when I was at Newport, we sort of come across some issues when signing players to U8, U9 or pre-acad. And parents were sort of that sticking point because they believed that sort of like little Johnny was better off his grassroots team because his grassroots team are winning everything every day or every week, and he's the best player on the team, and you have to get that bigger picture across to mum, dad, whoever it may be, that little Johnny's he's going to get better here, and some they just can't see that. And I'm not sure if you've experienced that, and you probably have many a time with parents not seeing that bigger picture.
We have another thing to contend with that as well. So obviously you've got your bigger clubs, your Manchester City is a bit of an example for us. Is at Manchester City, they have their academy, but they have satellite elite centres as well. So
yes, yeah.
They're a big problem for us because there's the prestige of playing for Man City, but really they're not. Really
it's not, is it? We get that a lot with Cardiff City and stuff like that. You know, my little one plays for Cardiff City, and in reality, it's not. And are they getting the best coaching at Cardiff City compared to maybe at Newport or whatever that may be? Who knows? Really, who knows?
They just stockpile players, don't they? Just in case they improve later on, and that's the problem you've got. They think they're playing for Manchester City, but they're not, and they're not likely to get into their full academy. So are they better off playing grassroots or going to maybe a Cat 3 academy like ourselves?
Yeah.
And I think certainly people around that area just see the shirt, the name, and they get a little bit excited by it, really. So yeah, definitely.
They do. Yeah.
So, guys, I had a bit of a question about how it works for over in England. And that you're saying you guys are an academy, but there's also grassroots teams that you guys are trying to sign. Like, are there separate leagues that are more like house league? How does it work over there?
Yeah, there's grassroots leagues and the regional. So each region has their own league, and then basically, as academies, we have a separate league which is just academy only, split into 3 categories: Cat 3, Cat 1, and Cat 2. Basically, we scout the grassroots leagues to see who the best players are, and if we spot any players that we like, first of all we invite them in for a 6-week trial. When they're on the 6-week trial, or 8 weeks I think it is now, we're on the 8-week trial, they can still play for the grassroots teams. If we decide to sign them and they agree to sign for us,
they're not allowed to then. Yeah.
They're not allowed to play for grassroots. They're just allowed to play for the academy, which has a games program on a Sunday and other games within the week sometimes as well. So again,
that was the biggest sticking point for parents, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it is.
In that grassroots team.
To be fair, Lewis, it's a big decision, isn't it? For
it is. No, it is.
At that age, because I mean, I had fantastic experiences playing for my grassroots teams and winning leagues and having that experience to play with my friends. But then back when I was a youngster, I also you could play grassroots and academy at the same time. So I was fine then. So that was good experience for me, and they don't kind of get that. I think they need a little bit of a middle ground where they need that enjoyment and competitive side as well.
Yeah, because sometimes they have a bit of a burnout. They sort of get fed up with the pressure. I've had a lot of kids in the foundation phase who feel. I've had a few kids who break down during sessions, saying, you know, mum and dad are giving me this on the sideline. You know, I feel like or trying to give me instructions, they're doing something different, everyone's pressuring me, and I feel it's a little bit too much, and I think that's when they get that sort of that anxiety and the
I think the key with any foundation phase, you know yourself of being at Newport, is to make that environment as enjoyable,
that's all it is,
as friendly and as social as possible with these players. And again, you hit the nail on the head there, Lewis. The pressure does come from the parents. It generally does. It generally comes from the parents expecting their player to do this, and this, but they might be growing and developing at a completely different level to other players, but they'll always compare them to other players as well.
Oh, all the time at player you get mum and dad saying so and so's at this level, mine isn't at this level, and yeah, we just, like you just said, we just tried to explain that, you know, everyone grows differently, everyone moves differently, everyone's different, and
They learn at
you
different
know,
rates, they mature at different heights,
yeah,
weights, and everything's completely different. So it's there's no real pathway, is there? But no.
no, and I find that quite difficult to explain to a parent who, I suppose, isn't quite kind of wanting to see outside of their sort of vision, so they're a little bit stuck in their ways. And I think for me in the foundation, parents were the biggest issue. Just in general, our parents were lovely at under nines, but you know, you'd always have small issues with parents, whatever topic it may be. And it's always difficult to let players go. I never enjoyed that.
It's either their expectations, Lewis, from the get-go, or it's
Yeah.
the perspective they have
Yeah,
from their player, as you say, to other players within the team, how successful they're being, is the player enjoying it, and there's loads of different things. And the most difficult one is a player who's underperforming, as you say. Parents don't see that, and that's a difficult one. That is a difficult.
No, we sort of laid the expectations out, like you said, at the start of the season. I think the review before the end of season reviews, where you release players, we kind of said to Dad and the player, listen, we're sort of on the edge. It's your opportunity now to take the opportunity to stay and go to under 10s, or you don't want to take the opportunity and you know, you may risk losing your place within the academy. And we have to sort of be quite transparent, because otherwise mum and dad would be kindly very annoyed if they got, you know, let go, and you know, we didn't explain the process to them. So yeah, and it came to the final reviews, we let them go, and mum and dad were happy. You know, they kind of understood that we laid it out to them early on. They just didn't quite make the grade, and you know, we just said to them, go back to grassroots, hopefully come back up again, you know, you'll get your opportunity again.
To integrate that and softly manage it across our foundation phase.
Yeah,
He's just left now, but he was really, really good at it. He planted the seeds quite early when he had an idea, so it's quite good.
yeah, I think that's where you need to be. I've known coaches to be very harsh in their ways, and I'm not sure that I 100% agree with them, but yeah.
I think
You know what?
with age, it gets more difficult, Peter. It gets more difficult in terms
Oh
of...
yeah. You know, honestly, I think one of the things that I've learned the most going back to do the U9s again is that I didn't realize how much I'd put in with the girls' parents. And so every year, every week, we, you know how parents are. My daughter was on the team, so not only am I coach, it's a social environment. So you're drinking with them, you're chatting with them. Not the best for coach-player separation, but what it did teach me was you have to keep telling the parents why their kid's progressing or where they're not. And if there's parents on the team that think we could be better because this kid or that kid, you know, isn't pulling their weight, if you can show them how the other kids are improving, they may not get the result you want, but at least they see that you recognize their faults, and it helps to go a long way as the parents start to understand that you know where their kids are at on the, like, all the kids on your team. And you also understand that you can tell them that their kid's not the best. You know, they've got their own things to work on.
Almost
that's a big part of it.
Validate you as a coach first before that decision becomes on their child, I suppose, isn't it?
You know, you're right. It took me a while to get it to the point where I could say it's validating me as a coach, but that's part of it over the time. And now I don't look at it like that anymore. If you don't want to hear it as a parent, I'm okay with that. I'm still going to coach the team, and if you don't want to get a new coach, that's fine. I'm not getting paid anyway. So,
well, I mean, it's if they've got that validation and they know and they trust in your judgment, that's great. But at the end of the day, you've still got to make that decision. So even if they don't, as you say, you've got to trust in what you're doing. And at the end of the day, we're the coaches, they're the parents, and that's...
Yeah, and I think it's a good bridge between your program and the grassroots. I'm assuming that when you guys say there's grassroots teams, when do they end these grassroots teams?
They end at 16s, I think. U16.
Yes. Yeah.
See, when we say grassroots over here, it's at 11 and a half, 12, you're done. Like it's into a new level. So That's
Right.
interesting. It goes to U16. Maybe we should change our model so that when you say grassroots, that's what it means. You're here for till you're 16, not till you're 13 and out.
Yeah. I think,
But
because,
I mean,
yeah,
all these parents
Yeah.
these parents that think their kids are going to go anywhere, it goes to what you guys were saying, how every kid's at a different developmental stage. I have kids that grew 6 inches in a year and kids that haven't grown at all in 5 years. So you either grow into your body at times or you don't.
Yes.
You got to.
And some players learn how to use their smaller frame and stuff as well, don't they? With the technical ability in their brain and things. There was a question I was going to ask you, Peter. I mean, you talked about before about your coaching from was it U8, U9s all the way up?
Yeah.
You're just topping out your age. Well, 2 questions in one, really. One, have you found that really rewarding, seeing them from so high going to building into these players to where they are now? And have you found that many have kept along that pathway as well and managed to stay along that route, or have a few fell by the wayside and not really kept on with their soccer?
It's been extremely rewarding. First of all, we actually feel like we have a family. A lot of the kids that we started with, we still have now. We had great success in getting them to develop up until about U12, and then we had the same problem that everybody has here. Where's my next best option to play? So right when we were going to U13, that's when AIFC was created. And that program actually took 8 players from my team to start their team. All 8 players were not good enough to play at that level. They were good enough to play in Orangeville. They weren't good enough to play in an academy, that next level that you would be talking about at yours or where Christos is at now. They just weren't. So that was a disappointment that they left, but they got told, you're good enough to be here. That's fine. So for 2 years, that was probably the most rewarding 2 years, because that was a decision I would never have made. I would never have said, okay, you guys aren't good enough, or go find. I wouldn't have looked for other players. So we did. We spent 2 years putting together a new team, and it was probably the most rewarding because it made me go back and realize that, you know what, you can start giving anybody the foundations at 13, 14. It's just a matter of the work rate and the effort you put in. And we built the team back up for 3 years, or for 2 years, until the kids that were at AIFC realized this wasn't working out for them, and they came back to our team. So when they came back, we didn't take them all. We wouldn't. We already had a good core group, started again. So even though a couple of them were better than some of the kids we had, that's when attitude came into play, and we didn't take them. So that next year, we merged the team that we had and the best kids we could from AIFC that left, and we won everything that year. We didn't lose a game all season. We won the championships. We won a couple tournaments. So we built from those 8 years in there. It was just an exciting buildup. But it was a real emotional time. I could definitely see the benefit now after 2 years, passing on to somebody else, so that you don't get that. Like it's almost like you feel like a family member left when 3-4 years in, they just, I'm leaving, see you later, to go play with somebody else for no good reason. Now, I've told the U10s that we have now, so at U8, I took that model and I went back to U9 and I said, my goal is to not have you play in Orangeville in 4 years. I want you to leave here and be every one of you boys to play on the next level. Go to an OPDL program. That's my job. Get you that opportunity to play at that next level. If you come back to Orangeville, great. I'll still be here. Christos will be here. Chris will all still be here. But it changed that grouping. Now I'll get you to there, but it's not as family oriented. So back to your question, it was a truly rewarding experience, that 10 years. So this whole playing out with my daughter's team and that group of girls. But I've taken away things that can make it better now, that it doesn't have to be, it can be rewarding for other reasons now.
Do you think that's why you may be questioning taking a bit of a soccer break, because you've come full circle with that group and it's almost like culmination of, right, that's that finished and that was so great. am I going to struggle to recreate that? Is that maybe why you're at that sort of impasse at the minute?
No, actually, I think more because I really enjoy coaching the younger team as well. I mean, when the girls are all gone, when it's all said and done and the girls' team's done, it's still going to be, it'll still have been worth it. But the reason for the break is more soccer in Orangeville itself and where our club is. I don't like the direction it's taking. That's why I left the board. I don't like the way it's just fractured right now. It's not. It just needs to step. I just need to step away from it and kind of. They need to reevaluate the group that they have and figure out where they want to go with soccer. So I'm not a big fan of the direction it's taken. So that's more why I'm kind of stepping away. And I still may not. I mean, the team that I have of the U10 boys, when they are 11 and 12, I probably won't want to give it up because they're just such a good group of kids. So.
A key thing that that you were saying was even Neil as well is when you want to pull away and say you're taking that break now, right? So what we all can agree on here is we want to take the player to the next level. You know what I mean? So what can we do in terms of developing these players to take them as far as I can and then go on further? So I think that's a fantastic thing, right? So to really see that and know it, it's a big step because a lot of coaches don't do it. A lot of coaches don't see it. Peter as well. You can see that with other coaches. They'll be like, "No, this is my team. No, I'm not gonna. I'm gonna take my team and I'm gonna take them to." It's not gonna happen. You know what I mean? So we got to be realistic in where we are and where these players can take the next level. So for myself, like I said, I love coaching Orangeville. I've always loved coaching in Orangeville. I like coaching at Athletes Institute. I've been there for a couple of years. They've changed. You know what I mean? They rebranded and stuff like that. But I love the girls team that I coach. I love the boys team I coach over here, and I love coaching in general. So I like grassroots. So I think if you have that nailed down, I think you can expand on that on all avenues. You know what I mean? So I think that everyone's got to see that picture. My difference between academy and say a district team in terms of is work practices, how many more practices, the quality and quantity of what you get from your coaches. You know what I mean? And identifying talent, really looking at talent. It's a good thing, right? So it's not, and you know what I mean? And I think that's a key thing. I think it's massive on that. So.
Christos, it's an interesting point you just made there that, I always forget to come back to it. But one of the things after the season that the girls won everything and we made this big push to go to that next level, our regional lead, and we absolutely got annihilated. We lost, I think, 2 games by 10 goals. But it wasn't an unfulfilling season. We won some stuff. I mean, we did okay. We won 2 tournaments away from the league, but that next year, so going into this year now, perspectives changed. And that's one thing as a coach. I don't know if you guys have come across it in your teams, but the one thing that Orangeville has to realize is that not every team is looking to get to the next level. Not every set of kids is looking to, make soccer more than just a social thing for fun. And it really, coaches need to match with their players and the perspective of the parents and what the goals are. And right now our team, we've had some kids leave in the middle of training because they want to stay at a higher level. We've had to find other kids. We've had kids get hurt. U18 is a tough year when you're not in a competitive system. We got kids just ready to leave for school and they just want to have fun as a group of kids. That's it.
You know what? It's commitment between the two. Your commitment. What are you going to commit to? You know what I mean? And exactly like you said, players are going to look at it and be like, "Oh, I want this," right? There's players I've come across, and I'm like, "So you want to go to the next level?" And they're like, "Yes, I want to get to the next level." Okay, so words are one thing, actions are another. Okay, what are you doing to get to the next level? You know what I mean? You gotta have a balance, right? You can't just be like, "Okay, I'm going to do all this, but I'm not going to work for it," right? Commitment. Practice.
Christos, sorry, you're not wrong. I'm just saying what you're saying is to the player. What I'm saying is sometimes the coach like I'm just doing 3 times a week with the kids plus all the other stuff, and the kids are just like, no, that we don't want to do that this year. And that's all I'm saying is, Matt, like what you're asking to do of your players because they want to do it, the Zoom, like I think that's fantastic, the 3 times a week. And if you get the parts, we're just at a time now where I want to do what you're talking about, and the players don't. And that's all I'm saying. Just sometimes your goals as a coach and what you want to achieve can't be achieved with the team you have because they aren't on the same page. That's
True.
the way it is.
I agree with that. I just think that in my perspective, I just think you just keep grinding, man. You keep grinding away. If you get 1 player, 2 players, 3 players, great. If the other 10 want to be lazy, I have players right now in my U16 boys. I'll tell you right now, I'm on their case. They probably look back and they're going to probably look at this webinar and they're going to be like, oh man, this guy's driving me nuts. But you want it, you want it or you don't want it, right? I'm on your case. I'm like, listen, buddy, you got to make your run. Right? I'll turn around and be like, make your runs. Everyone else. So you know what? It leads by example.
I'm exactly the same.
Yeah, lead by example. So the other players are putting in their runs. I'll congratulate them. I'll praise them and say, good, you did your 3K run. If the one's not there, I'll directly message you one-on-one, not so everyone sees, and I'll be like, yo, what's happening, man? Just tell me. If you don't want to do it, just say, coach, I'm not doing it. Perfect. By all means.
Take responsibility. Yeah.
Take responsibility, accountability. You know what I mean?
So I'll go so far. I'll push you as much as humanly possible, but there will get to a point where if you're not doing it, then I'll just leave you to your own devices. You crack on with whatever you want to do. You can play your games, you can do your training, but if you're not willing to put in that effort, I know it's slightly different because it's academy and going into professional, but I'll put more of my energy into other players and push them more than I would you if that's where you're at. So again, it's a little bit between both with you, Peter, and you, Christos, areas like you've got to recognise which players are going to buy in, even at sort of this level where at the end of the day, it's the ones that push themselves to the limits where you, like you want to do with your players, Christos, so that the ones that are going to succeed in their end game, really, and the others will fall by the wayside and end up doing something different. But you end up putting, certainly with me full time, if I end up putting my full energy into this one player who I'm thinking he should be doing this, he should be doing that, he should be doing the other, he nearly needs to improve, he can be, but if he doesn't want to do it, I'm wasting my energy in essence.
You've missed the rest of the players, haven't you? All the others.
And I can use that energy and put it into someone else rather than that one player or 2 or 3 players who aren't really. They say you're on about sort of actions and words. We got loads of players over here. I think it's a society nowadays who talk great talk, but not put those words into action, and they're the ones who are the most frustrating. But again,
I 100% agree with you guys that. We had that last year with the girls team. We had 2 or 3 that weren't pulling, kind of getting to where the rest of the team was. So we just let them watch the rest. And when they, you get out to a game and they realize, oh, I'm not in shape, they started picking up. This year is a little bit different that in 2 ways. One, we have maybe 2 or 3 that want to do the effort and the rest are just like, we just want to have fun. So it's a little bit of a different dynamic for this year in that regard. The other, I was going to say, in certain situations, Neil and Lewis, if you guys have, say, 4 or 5 guys or girls on your team that they're not participating, there's how many kids behind them that want that spot, or how many ladies want those spots, right? Yeah. I have 16 on my roster just for this year, and I have nobody else to pull from. Yeah. Like, even if I wanted to say, we're going to take the top 8 and we're going to find 8 more that want to do it, it's just, you know what, that was last year. That was when the kids were all on the same page, or almost all of them were. And that's why I say, like, sometimes it just doesn't pan out. So you have to change what you want. And you know what, I think maybe soccer isn't what the kids need this year. It's just how to be better adults, or how to be adults and grow and, work in a team environment and still have a good time. But, maybe not worry about so much about the actual technical or tactical soccer side of it. Yeah. So anyways, it's a tough spot, I think, but like I said, I mean, you know your audience, I think, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. Yeah, definitely. For your benefit more than anything else, isn't it? As a coach, for your benefit is to know your audience, and you're not, as I say, you're not wasting energy on certain things or putting all your expectations that aren't going to be fulfilled for people who don't want to fulfill them, basically.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I got a question for the floor here, and we can talk about this topic. Time is flying, guys. It's been fantastic. So let's open up another discussion in terms of girls versus boys in soccer. You know what I mean? So the difference is, do you believe? Question is, do you guys think that coaching boys team you can replicate and do the identical to female team? What's your thoughts?
Again, I think
I'm gonna say yes, but not at the same times. The same lessons need to be learned at different times, and how you deliver to each side is just a different delivery method.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah.
What do you guys think?
Yeah, I've not had much experience coaching the girls, but, and it's completely different over in England compared to Canada. Lewis will agree, we're starting to catch up in terms of female involvement in football. You mentioned
that's a big game, isn't it?
600 grassroots girls teams this year alone, which is phenomenal. But yeah, I think it's the way you take information on board slightly different, isn't it? So that's what you've got to take into account. As Peter says, I think just teach them different things at different times, I would say. Some things would take priority over others in terms of tactical stuff, I would imagine. Because everyone thinks differently, and again, girls think differently to boys as well. So
yeah,
in my opinion, speaking out of, I coach the U16 girls right now. The group of girls that we have currently are fantastic. You know what I mean? They're great. Their work ethics are really good. They're locked in, which is fantastic. I find that my coaching tactics with boys and girls are two different ways. I'll explain that. With boys, in terms of being direct and to the point, you can get away with that. With girls, you have to explain it in detail, as boys will make mistakes, in my opinion, and they'll just counter it and go, okay, I'll pick it up as the game goes on. Whereas girls, they got to have the support. They got to have everything from their teammates in order for them to perform. Otherwise, I've seen boys where they'll basically try and put their team on their shoulders. You know what I mean? They'll be like, okay, I got this. So-and-so is not playing. He's not doing it. I'm going to see if I can do what I can, right? I know it's a little bit, I'm talking at a rep level. Now, in an academy, it's more structured. Of course, in terms of player responsibility and position responsibility, 100%. Whereas the girls, I find that their strategizing is when everybody is working on the same page. I find that you're all going to be firing on the same cylinder. Everyone's going to be working good.
You find, Christos, that the girls are more open to learning. I found, again, the brief stint that I did with girls, they ask more questions. So if they don't understand then something, they're more likely to ask rather than avoid. That's what I've found. That almost like a macho. I'll work it out for myself, as you say, rather than maybe ask the coach a little bit more. As you say, they want more detail. But I found they were more, if this is right, you'll know this more than me, but they're either fully locked in or they're not doing so. Simple as that.
Yeah.
So the girls, whereas you'll get boys who are doing it, whereas some will be fully locked in and some won't, but they'll still be doing it. Whereas I think the girls will be fully locked in. I'm doing this, I'm dedicated, I'm doing all this, or soccer's not for me. That's it. That's my sort of things, or whether that's true.
Senior level. With the girls, the tactical and technical understanding is a little different when you're trying to discuss things, whether it's in session or whether it's on the tactics board. They've got a lesser understanding, whereas I think boys have got a deeper understanding. I think that may be down to, I think boys, I probably would say, watch more football clips, videos, whatever it may be. I found that the girls at the senior level, lots of them don't watch football, so they don't understand maybe some phrases or words or some moves or tactics or whatever that may be, and they have a sort of a lesser understanding because I think they just play it. They don't sort of, whereas I live it, and I think a lot of boys live it. I found that girls don't sort of live it, and they've got, football's one side, life is the other side, and then it comes together at training and comes together at games. So I've spoken to a few girls and tried to explain different aspects of football, and they kind of looked at me, not what you're kind of on about. So you have to sort of explain it a little bit deeper and a little bit further. So going back to your point, Neil, I think girls just need that, and Christos, they just need that explaining a little bit more information just for them to understand.
I think that's more of a British thing as well, though, Lewis, because it's very much in our culture.
Probably a cultural thing, yeah.
Very much. So, as you say, boys live it. It's everyone's life. Every male over here lives it.
Yeah.
Female don't. Whereas that balance will be tilted more in Canada. It's more of a level playing field in terms of soccer. Whereas our culture's been like that. We were saying this last time, Christos, on the other Zoom call, weren't we? That it's 120 years of our life in sort of England, Scotland, and Wales of football, and that's all anyone talks about, basically. So it is that cultural thing.
Yeah, it's the equivalent to hockey in Canada.
Yeah,
we've been doing this for 100+ years, so everybody lives and breathes it. But no matter where we are, which country you're talking about, with girls, they're not so interested in. Yeah, they're not so interested in their individual stuff. They want the whole team to succeed. They want their friends to be part of it. Whereas guys, you can play with guys for years and not even know where they live or anything about them. They're just there as a buddy on the field, but you're more focused on the game, and it's part of your life. Whereas girls, the life is the stuff before and after.
Less team plays with boys.
Yeah. Well, they're trying to get somewhere, right?
Yeah.
The girls don't see it as an avenue until, they're 13, 14 years old, and the parents are talking about going to school, and then they look at it as maybe an option. But still, most of them, their goal is to go out and have fun and hang out with their friends.
Yeah, I think with the girls, I think they're a little bit more clued up in the fact that in order for me to make me look better, I need the E, F, and G in my team to be playing well. Whereas the boys are very more, it's all about me. And
individuals.
Or anyway, the better players in certain positions are obviously team-based players, but I think you get that a lot with boys.
Working, it's true. Working hard with the AFC U16 girls. I think that you're going to get your ups and downs for sure. But more off, I think the locked in is good. Having players come in and actually identify and saying, "Yeah, coach, you know what? I need a little bit more support in this area," or I find exactly like you're saying, Neil. They really identify where the weakness is. And on our team, we've been trying hard to identify those areas and see if we can build on that, right? So. I've been blessed to be coaching both teams, so U16 girls at AI and U16 boys at Storm. So I see the differences in terms of mentality and what the game brings for them, right? So I think it's great.
On a boys team, Christos, if you identify an area of weakness, some of them will almost jump on a bit of a blame culture. And sort of say, well, he's not doing his job. Whereas the girls are more likely to go, right, we as a collective need to sort this weakness out. I don't know, is that a thing maybe?
I think for my boys team, I think the area of weakness, what I would identify is the commitment level. So good example, we're playing Ontario Cup last year. So it's a pretty big tournament in Ontario. And we were playing a L3 team, which is a higher team ranking than where our team plays in the district. And a couple boys looked over and they're like, they just said a comment in terms of looking at the boys and going, "Oh, look at this guy. Look, he's just," in the comment of his work ratio. You know what I mean? "Oh, I bet you these guys practice every day." I said a comment like that. And I turn around, I'm like,
that's psychology, isn't it?
I'm like, yeah, they probably do. They probably do train 5 times a week. You know what I mean? So it's difficult if you're going to try and compete at a level of a higher caliber team if you're not committed to twice a week practice. Yeah. So if I can't get you to twice a week practice, then how are you going to, you can't critique somebody else. You know what I mean? You can't critique the work that someone else is doing. Yeah, we could try and compete, Well, it's going to be very difficult, right? So I think the commitment level in some of the boys, they're coming. You could see a good divide. Half of them want it, yes, they do it, and then some of them are just like, I don't want it, type of thing, right? So you got to work with that. You got to try and iron out as best as you can, right?
That's difficult for the boys who are committed, isn't it? So if they see the boys who aren't quite as committed, they're asking questions. I mean, I would be. So yeah, that's the difficulty you've got, isn't it, in those sort of two groups, really?
You see it right away. You see the boys are working hard, and the ones, but they're not going to comment anything. But when you expect to have a certain kind of intensity and bring that kind of work ratio to your practices, those boys are going to work hard, right? The other ones, they're not bringing it. So you got to really look at them and say, come on, guys, you got to step it up. You know what I mean? Come on, everyone, we all got to work. We all got to do this together. It's not just A, B, and C just does it, and then everyone else just watches, right? No, we got to bring it up. Everyone's got to work together.
Here's something for you, Chris. So you would have seen it because you get the girls coming in for AFC, and then you get the boys coming in after.
Yeah.
When you watch the girls come in, now I've watched your girls come in to practice before you get there because you're coming in later. No, I watch them come in. They look around. They see the person. They see the group. Bam! They go right to them, and they go on their chat, and they're going. And 10 minutes later, I'm walking out the door, and the girls are still and you're like, "Are we going to get started?"
Right.
The boys are like, they drop their stuff. They go, "All right, let's go." There's two huge differences right there that just explains the two different groups.
Yeah, well, you have girls are going to be a lot more social and connected with each other, when the reason why you have talking in the beginning is because they're connected. So if your girls team doesn't talk to each other, then there's an issue there. So socially, you're going to have a problem on the field. So if you have your team that divides in different cliques and groups, then you're going to have an underlying issue there. So if they do talk in the beginning, as a coach, I think that you should basically get them fired up and ready to go right away. Whereas boys, you'll have the two or three that talk to each other. Yeah, they'll start right away, but doesn't necessarily mean they're connected with the team right away. You know what I mean? So I see that as the difference in that. So the boys will come out. Yeah, they'll come onto the field right away. They'll execute what they need to execute. But the connection with the boys, I find that everyone should be connected to. You know what I mean? So yeah, the talking, girls, if you give them a choice for girls to talk, yeah, they're going to talk a lot, man.
We had a practice one time where the coaches stood on the other side of the field and just stared at the girls talking. Just to see how long they would sit there and chat without coming to practice. It was 25 minutes before they came over and go, "Are we going to practice?"
I do that.
I guess they finally decided they'd had enough.
I do that with those 18s if they're procrastinating or if they're not going into the warm up. Supposed to do their own warm up at the start of the session. I'll just stand there, not set anything up. I'll just stand there and wait.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you get one who'll spot it and start nudging people, going, "Oh, look over there, look," and all of a sudden they know they're in trouble. So yeah, the longest I've had is probably about 15-20 minutes.
Yeah.
They're bad. Yeah.
So Chris, what's your take on girls versus boys? What do you think?
Well, just interestingly, watching that age group, we'll stick with the U16 age group, is the social aspect of when players don't fit or whatnot. It's really interesting. Like watching those boys, if there's one of the guys' his skill set's not there, the boys have no problem pointing it out. Like they'll be playfully going, "Oh, buddy, another one, you missed it." They really jab at each other. But from the girls, they just don't pass to them. When they set up the groups, like that girl is always left out, or those couple girls are left out all the time that are maybe not at the same skill, or they don't have the same social abilities, or they're left out. So as a coach, you really have to watch for that social difference of how the boys, it's easy to see which guy because everybody makes fun of them. The girls though, girls are like,
Chris, do you get the girls encouraging their teammates more when they do something good though as well?
They do. Yeah. There's a lot more positive talk. But definitely it's when things aren't going well, the boys will tend to get on each other, and sometimes the girls, at least in that scenario, are much quieter. They might be frustrated, but they don't go and call them out the same way. Maybe they'll come and talk to the coach after, but you really have to watch for those cues. And as a coach, you definitely see the difference in how they treat each other. At the younger age groups,
like more tactful, really.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
was
we
just
always
trying to
have
say
to
that from
attack.
the foundation phase to the youth phase, there's a lot of I think at the foundation phase they're more willing to tell you if you've done wrong because they're kids and they're at that age where they're not scared to say how they feel or what they're thinking to another player. Whereas I found that the youth phase, they're a little, because they've gone to comp and they've had that sort of what's the word I'm looking for, that sort of attack between two different people or whatever. They're sort of a little bit more afraid to say how they feel, maybe in training or in games. So they, sort of needs you to say, this is what we need to do. This is what we want to achieve, instead of them saying it themselves because they're a little bit more afraid to say it. That's my experience anyway.
Yeah, and I find at the younger groups, like having the grassroots, one of the biggest differences with the younger kids, like the U8s and that, is that with the girls, you can have a little bit more conversation, a little bit more spending the time, showing them a lot more individually. But the boys, if you don't move from one activity to another within like 3 seconds, you lose them. So you have to have a whole level of energy and a whole very busy practice in order to keep them engaged. Or the attention span is so different. I'm sure Peter sees that when he's watching with the girls. And Lewis, when you were doing your big training sessions over here, it was the same thing with the grassroots.
Yeah. Yeah. I've got a question with Peter, and I've had it for quite a long time. But obviously, when we met Peter, four years ago or so, you were the president of Orangeville Soccer, or now Storm. But what I want to ask you was, what was your greatest achievement at being president? What was probably maybe a regret that you might have had during your time?
Oh, jeez. The easier one is the regret. I'll tell you that. The biggest regret was not getting our a commitment from our board to pursue an indoor facility. I pursued it for years, and I had a building lined up. I had everything lined up, and I guess in the end I just gave up fighting the good fight. But that was probably my biggest regret, not getting that indoor facility started when we had our opportunity.
Yeah.
Biggest success, I'd say, was rebuilding the club's finances back up to where we had the opportunity to get an indoor facility, and building up our numbers, just building the club back up to a respectable club in the area. So it was a good time. I'll ask you, Liz, what did you think was the worst part of the club and the best part of the club when you were here?
I was gonna say. I mean, there's for me, there's no, obviously spending 2 summers over 2 years, there was nothing that was negative. Obviously you get your differences on the board and people with different opinions, and you've got to work that out for the best of the club. But what I found was probably the most difficult thing was parent buy-in. Oh, sorry, not parent buy-in. They're parents, aren't they? Coaches buy-in, because they're parents and they're volunteers, not getting paid. So the buy-in for me was the most difficult thing. I try to deliver coach education to them, and I remember I did it over 3 nights, and I think it was like 20% of coaches come out over those 3 nights. So, that was the most difficult thing for me. Players was brilliant. The buy-in was great. We did Saturday morning sessions where we did the skills on the Saturday morning, 9 till 10 and 10 till 11, and that was brilliant. But yeah, I think no negatives. Just the most difficult thing was coach buy-in for me.
Yeah, that's fair. That's always the toughest part.
It is, but I mean, for me, to go back, to start as a young lad, to go over on my own, experience a different culture, different people, and sort of work up, down, side to side as a young 19-year-old lad, and to go back the next year and try and make it bigger and better, and try and do what I did the year before and make it better. I think just the experience for me, to call you guys friends and coaches and whatnot, and to be able to have those experiences myself. I think the experiences and the memories were the best thing for me.
Awesome. Well,
I've got a question for you, Christos.
Sure.
With the rebranding of AI,
Yeah.
How has that changed, and do you think it's been a fully positive change? Because obviously I was over before the rebranding. How has it changed since then, and do you think it's been successful?
Currently, the rebranding, yes. We've brought in some new coaches. We have a new technical director on board, and the people that he has networked and brought on board as well has helped AIFC, the new rebranding for sure, with teams coming in. A lot more boys team than girls teams, right? So we only have the U16 girls at the moment. Um, the positive there is basically player interaction and people coming there, where I think before was trying to get players. You know what I mean? So a big deal has to do with networking, the people that you know and who you can bring there, because you got to look at the demographics too in terms of in Ontario for in Orangeville in that area. It's pretty difficult to get it, but having the network and people believing in coaches and the coaches that I guess that are here at AI right now, the people have come, right? They're traveling all over the place. So that's one. Two is also what are you going to deliver in terms of your product, right? So your product will show success in terms of people coming and enrolling, right? So I think it's been pretty good. Myself there, I try and do the best I can with my girls team, trying to help out where I can. I have Chris on my side there with as an assistant with the U16 girls, which has done fantastic. My wife as well managing there with the girls team. So yeah, it's always hard because now during the COVID, what's been going on, there's been one of the big clubs or big academies here, big academies, there's many academies, but Barcelona, Escola, the School of Barcelona for soccer here, has closed all their operations. So it's pretty scary to see that because of due to COVID and financial reasons, right? So can that snowball? Possibly, don't know. It could impact all academies first. I think that teams or district like clubs are a lot more difficult. So some of them are not-for-profit organizations. So majority of them are not-for-profit. So they have a good clientele base on that, or a good players based, right? Whereas academies, it's different, right? So AI's impacted me. It's been good. I've had the positive experiences there, and looking at and having a different style of soccer in terms of your practice, your work to ratio. You know what I mean? So it's good to see both of them. Yeah, we're always looking to expand. We're always looking to build. And again, going back to the beginning, is having the right people in the right places, right? I think that's a key thing in terms of success. So I'm doing this for the long run. I'm doing this from now until whenever. Yeah, pretty much as a parent and my daughter as well on the team. You know, you gotta look at it both ways. So I coach, I love it, and as a parent, looking for success for what I can do, and helping my daughter as well, pave the way for her too, right? So
how's Larissa doing? She doing okay?
Yeah, she's doing really good. She's really pushing hard. She's doing her workouts. She's locked in, and she wants the next best thing.
Locked in. She's definitely a locked in one, isn't she?
Well, yeah, you know what? She's playing. She's
invested.
Yeah, playing 2 years up, you know, and having those disadvantages, you know, in terms of the aggression and stuff with girls are being bigger. I think has taught her a lot, and she keeps plugging away. So it's good to have. It's as a parent looking, you try and give them the best option. And for her playing up 2 years, I think has really developed her into the young soccer player that she is, right? So
yeah, she's a credit to you. She's a kid who you'd want to coach all day. She's real sponge, good learner, always want to work hard. So yeah, she's a credit to you. You've done a great job with her.
Awesome, thank you very much. Well, guys, if we don't have anything else, we've been on here for about an hour and a half. It's been fantastic, and I'm telling you right now, I didn't even touch base into club teams and what who's our favorite club team, who's our favorite coaches. That could be, we can leave that for another session for sure. And you know what? For the people that are going to be watching this webinar, follow Storm FC, follow AIFC. Follow my Instagram at Coach Christos. If you guys want to plug in your Instagram, go right ahead.
Mine's 11.
All right, Lewis, if you want to plug in your Instagram, go ahead. You never know.
Yeah, never know. Could get signed up by a big team or whatever.
Can you imagine?
Lewis Yendle, Lewis Yendle, Yendle. So Lyendle.
Awesome. Anyone else? If you guys want to go, Chris or Peter, if you guys want to plug in on that as well, you can. Thank you, everybody.
I'm good.
Okay. No worries.
Definitely, that was coming from Peter.
Hey, all good, guys. Thank you very much. It was. I
We
really
need to do
enjoyed
this
it.
soon.
Yeah.
Again,
Yeah, we'll do it again.
I've got lots more questions.
All right.
Yeah.
So what we'll do is we can, if you guys want, depending on how busy we are in terms of staying locked in,
Busy.
we can do this next Saturday if you guys want. You know, we could do the same
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right then.
Happy.
All right, let's do it same time next week, 11 o'clock our time, 4 o'clock your time, and we'll go from there. So, guys, enjoy the rest of your day, and
Yeah,
I'll post it on YouTube, and I'll send you guys the links. All right?
Okay. Cheers, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Peter.
All right,
Thanks,
cheers.
Chris. Thanks, Christos. Cheers, Neil.
Thanks, Neil. Thanks, Lewis.
Cheers,
Nice
guys.
to meet you, Neil.
Thanks, guys.
Ciao, guys.
See you, Christos.
Okay, buddy. Ciao.